This documentary is brought to you by CampfireShop.com. Support my research and productions by buying exclusive candles, teas, herbal supplements, and more at CampfireShop.com. Welcome along, fellow time travelers. This time around, we're going to travel back in time to talk about the romantic lives of Chang and Eng Bunker. As you may know, they were the world's most famous conjoined twins. They were born in Siam, now Thailand, in 1811, which led to the term Siamese twins. Chang and Eng were born joined at the chest by a band of flesh, sharing a liver. Their parents initially considered them to be a curse, but they were soon recognized as a curiosity, and they went on to achieve great success in their chosen professions, which I will talk about in another video. This time around, we're focusing on the romantic stuff and a bit of other information. For example, in 1829, they were brought to the United States by a Scottish merchant, Captain Abel Coffin, to be exhibited as a spectacle. They toured extensively, becoming celebrities and appearing before kings, queens, and the general public. After gaining their financial independence, they broke off their business relationship with Captain Coffin, became United States citizens, and adopted the surname Bunker. In an unprecedented move for the time, they married two sisters, Adelaide and Sarah Yates, in 1843 and settled in North Carolina. Their marriages were controversial and legally complex. After all, who married who when two men are attached? That's a good question, isn't it? And it can kind of make one's brain hurt just thinking about it. They eventually retired from show business to become farmers in Trap Hill and Mount Airy, North Carolina, embracing a relatively private life, though they still dealt with public curiosity and some financial issues. Now check this out. They had 21 children between them. Chang had 10, and Eng had 11. Once again, I will get into more depth about their extraordinary lives in another video, but for now, let's just focus on that romantic stuff and all that accompanied that because, well, you know, no one else ever covers this. And you know you're interested to know how they work that all out. So let's begin our journey. For starters, when sleeping, they shared a bed with their bodies aligned side by side, possibly with their heads on separate pillows to accommodate their conjoined state. Their sleeping arrangement would have been designed for comfort, considering their unique physical connection. There are various accounts, but one common understanding is that they would have slept on their sides back to back, or with one of their bodies slightly angled to provide comfort. This would allow each some space while still connected. There are anecdotes suggesting they had a routine where they would ensure one was not disturbed by the movements of the other during sleep. This might involve when reading or engaging in a quiet activity while the other slept, or they might have synchronized their sleep schedules. Their sleeping arrangements would have been a practical compromise dictated by their physical connection, requiring them to be in constant close contact. And as you can imagine, this would have demanded a high degree of mutual understanding, patience, and adaptation to ensure that both of them can get plenty of rest when they needed it. Now here's where things get even more interesting. For 32 years, these two gentlemen slept together. They had no choice. But in 1843, someone else joined them in their bed. So there were soon 3 of them, all thanks to Cupid shooting his arrows in their direction. Alrighty, hang on tight. Here we go. Chang and Eng met sisters Adelaide and Sarah Yates in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, while on a tour in the early 1840s. Adelaide was about 20 years of age, and Sarah was roughly 18 years of age. The twins were attracted to the sisters, leading to one of the most unconventional courtships of the time. Now, how do you think that went? I assume the sisters met them at the same time. If not, then the conversation between the two sisters might have gone like this. "Sarah, I met the most wonderful man." "Oh, Adelaide, I'm so happy for you. Tell me everything. Where did you meet him?" "Well, Sarah, he was at a theater." "The theater? Don't tell me you struck up a conversation with the stranger sitting next to you. Adelaide, you need to be careful talking to strangers." "Don't be silly, Sarah. He was not in the audience. He was on the stage." "The stage? Oh, is he an actor then?" No, not an actor." "Oh, was it one of those lectures that you love to attend? So he is an expert of some sort. What is his area of expertise?" His area? Oh, he is certainly an expert on, anatomy." anatomy? That is wonderful. He must be very smart then. Yes, he is indeed. He sure has traveled around. That much I can tell you. Oh, Adelaide, do tell me more about this man. Has he any family? Oh, yes, he does. In fact, he's quite close to his brother. Yes, indeed, quite close. Oh, Adelaide, that is wonderful. You could always trust a man who is close to his siblings. Do you think they're as close as you and I, where we know all each other's deepest secrets? Yes, Sarah, I do believe they know everything about each other. They are quite inseparable. Adelaide, it sounds like you have met a wonderful man. I'm so happy for you. When can I meet him? I wonder... Oh no, forget it. What, Sarah? Well, I feel it might be improper to ask, but... What is it, Sarah? Ask me. Do you think... Well, I wonder... Do you think you can encourage him to... bring his brother along? Sarah, I do believe that will be how it will be. Of course, because they are so very close. Yes, that is precisely why. And so, that is why, my dear sister Adelaide, and I do not want to appear out of line, but I wonder if his brother is not, well, you know, well, do you think there is a chance that his brother might have an interest in me? That might be a distinct possibility, Sarah. Oh, Adelaide, do you really think so? Oh, how wonderful it would be! Imagine two sisters marrying two brothers. Oh, Adelaide, it would be a daydream come true. Yes, Sarah. Well, perhaps you should meet him first. Yes, I cannot wait. Me either. Okay, so that conversation probably did not happen. I think that Adelaide and Sarah met Chang and Eng together, but I'm not sure if that can be confirmed, though it has been written that the sisters met Chang and Eng through their mother, who ran a boarding house where the twins stayed during one of their visits. And if that's the case, I wonder what Mom thought of them. Either way, at some point the four did hook up and double date, and they clearly, well, maybe, sorta, fell in love. Or at the very least made some sort of arrangement. You see, these two women were Caucasian, they were from the South, they grew up very poor, and they may have seen Chang and Eng as their way out of poverty. And Chang and Eng may have been cool with that. After all, they both had expressed an interest for years that they wanted to get married. And I can't imagine many women were banging on their door at the end of each theater performance. So, it sounds like Chang and Eng and Adelaide and Sarah came together at just the right time for all of them. And so, on April 13th of 1843, Chang and Eng married the Yates sisters in a double ceremony. This was, as you can imagine, legally and socially complex. Initially, you see, there was some doubt about whether such a marriage was even possible, and so I think they had to obtain special licenses, and there was some debate about the legality of the union due to their physical condition. Once again, who married who? Yes, one of them could have spoken the vows, but he was making a commitment on behalf of both of them. In either event, these two guys were rolling in dough for a while, and they built two houses, I think I read about 50 feet apart. And this allowed them to spend some time with each wife separately. And so, every 3 days, they would switch houses, which was their solution to providing individual attention to their families. And so for 3 days, Chang would spend time in his own home with Adelaide and their children, and then for 3 days, Eng would spend time with Sarah and his children in their home. And of course, no matter where they went, their brother was always there. There just was no way to get around that. But despite their efforts to lead private lives, they were always under public gaze, with people curious about how they managed their marital and family life. Now, the specifics of how they managed intimacy or physical closeness with their wives was kept private, but it is known that they did maintain intimate relationships, as evidenced by their large families. And so here we are at that point in the video. The sex lives of Chang and Eng Bunker has been a subject of much speculation and curiosity due to their unique condition as conjoined twins. Here is what is known or can be inferred from historical records. The evidence of their sexual activity is clear from the fact that they had 21 children in total. Once again, Chang had 10 children with Adelaide, and Eng had 11 children with Sarah, indicating they certainly had an active sex life with their respective wives. Now listen, just as a side note, your sex life is absolutely none of my business at all. But let me just say how inspiring this story is. If you think you can never find anybody to marry you, and you think there are no children on the horizon in your life, well, Chang and Eng found 2 ladies to marry them, and Adelaide and Sarah married them. So there's hope for everyone, even you, if you don't find yourself in that circumstance as of the time of this recording, or in the future. Now, because they managed their lives by alternating their time between the 2 households every 3 days, this suggests that they did not engage in sexual activities simultaneously, but rather took turns. Or did they? I mean, let's think about this, shall we? What did Chang do while Eng was rolling around in the hay with Sarah? And what did Eng do when Chang was rolling around in the hay with Adelaide? Do you think that the 3 of them engaged in a threesome? Or do you think that Chang and Eng and Adelaide and Sarah engaged in a foursome? Come on, don't tell me you have not considered it. Chang and Eng's physical connection would have required creativity and accommodation in intimate situations. Positions that allowed privacy and minimized physical strain would have been most likely. For example, Chang and Adelaide could have engaged in traditional positions that accommodated Chang's mobility while considering Eng's proximity. It is safe to assume that, in most cases, the ladies were on top, while the brothers kept their backs on the bed. However, it is also possible that they could have been standing, with their wives also standing, or, well, you know, use your imagination. Now, I know there's a very good chance that your imagination is running wild right now. And so let's back up a little bit. The notion of foursomes, or even threesomes, lacks substantiation from any reliable sources and, some may say, would not align with the conservative norms of the time or the practicalities of their physical connection. But let's be honest, shall we? These ladies clearly did not mind being naked and in bed with 2 brothers at the same time. Chances are they kinda, sorta, possibly liked it. What do you think? Ladies, would you be able to marry a conjoined twin and have sex with your husband while his brother was right there? What would you want his brother to be doing at the same time that you are having sex with your husband? Be honest. Gentlemen, imagine you are a conjoined twin. What sort of deal would you make with your brother if the 2 of you married a couple of ladies? Would you be able to just lay there and do nothing? Or would you want in on the action? And if you didn't want in on the action, what in the world would you be doing while that was going on right next to you? Now, it has been suggested that the brother who was on his own engaged in something called, no, not that, get your mind out of the gutter, something called alternate mastery, where one twin would mentally disengage or distract himself while the other was being intimate with his wife. And this could mean reading, sleeping, or simply mentally zoning out. So what do you think? If you were attached to your sibling and they were hooking up with their spouse right next to you, do you think you could read, sleep, or mentally zone out? Kindly let me know in the comments below. The specifics of how they managed these intimate moments were kept very private, likely due to the sensitive nature of the topic and the cultural context. The Bunkers were known to be quite discreet about their personal lives, especially matters of intimacy. Once again, together, Chang and Eng fathered 21 children. Chang with Adelaide had 10 children, and Eng with Sarah had 11. And so this wasn't a one-time hookup, was it? No, they kept at this for years. Sadly, Chang died on January 17, 1874, followed by Eng about 2.5 hours later. This left both women widowed simultaneously. Adelaide Bunker continued living in North Carolina, managing her family's affairs. She remarried in 1877 to a local man named James H. Patterson, wasn't he a lucky fellow, but did not have additional children, though I'm sure it was not from a lack of trying. Adelaide died on April 19, 1900. After Eng's death, Sarah also remained in North Carolina, taking care of her children. She did not remarry and lived a relatively quiet life compared to her married years. Sadly, Sarah passed away on April 29, 1892. Both women contributed significantly to the legacy of the Bunker family, managing households and raising large families under extraordinary circumstances. Their lives offer a glimpse into the resilience and adaptability of women in 19th century America, especially in dealing with the unique challenges posed by their husbands' condition. Their marriages were indeed groundbreaking, not just for the time, but in the context of human relationships and societal norms. Adelaide and Sarah navigated a life filled with public interest, private challenges, a heck of a lot of really interesting sex, and the joys and responsibilities of motherhood in an unprecedented situation. So, what do you think of the marriage and romantic relations and sex lives of Chang and Adelaide and Eng and Sarah? Could you have sex with your spouse if you were in their positions? Kindly tell the truth in the comments below. Kindly remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification because there probably won't be another video like this one, but there will be other ones that you might like, and I hope you check those out too. Please check out the links below to learn how to support my research and productions. This channel is sponsored by CampfireShop.com, where you could order the highest quality and exclusive candles, herbal supplements, teas, and more. I would also appreciate it if you could become a member of my channel and or join me on Patreon, where you could watch exclusive walk-in tours of cool places that I've been to. You could also leave a super thanks in the comments below. Kindly be kind to all of our fellow Earthlings and please do not harm them. And please do yourself a favor and go to a local shelter and adopt a cat or a dog or both. You and they will be very glad that you did. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.